How many do you think?
Well, I'm estimating this because I'm pretty, and it's not a bad estimate. I think I have around 8,000 artifacts. They're not all things that I would want to put out, but they are rocks that the Indians used for something. There is no rock native to the Mississippi Delta. It either came down the Mississippi River or another river, or it was hauled in here by a gravel truck. And these rocks had to come in some way, so I think the Indians brought them. I don't know. I just think they're important to know about, whether they are presentable for display or not. But I do have many, many artifacts. My father said one time, I wish I could see all of your artifacts together. I said, I do too. Because there's no way we could put them all out. But about 8,000 is around what I think I have.
Well, how'd you get them? You know, were people, I know you walked and found, were people cooperative in letting you?
I've never had anybody but one person say, no, you can't pick up on my lot. But that one person said, whatever you find, I won't. So I followed her all afternoon, and I picked up behind her. She would step on points or whatever. And I just didn't see that I needed to give her all of that stuff since she could so easily overlook it. So I have some things that I'm really not supposed to have. But that's the only time anybody's ever said, no, I don't want you to do that. Most of the time they say, yes, sure, help yourself.
Okay. Starting the storytelling now. When do you think was the first time you realized that you were a storyteller? Did you?
I didn't really realize I was a storyteller till I was an old woman, but my friends keep telling me that I've been telling stories all my life. Not lies, just a good story. I'll qualify that not lies. You know, I do that sometime in a story, but I try hard not to do it in my private life. But I've been telling stories, I guess, since I was a kid. I grew up in a family of storytellers. My grandmother was a storyteller supreme. She would sit out on the front porch and on a hot night, and people would come from all over town to listen to her tell us stories. The side of the house the porch was on was shady in the afternoon, and it was just a good place. We'd just sit out there and listen to her. She taught us manners and morals too, and history of the family. She just taught us things that were entertaining. She'd even tell us a ghost story every once in a while.
Do you think that's why people grow up differently today? Because they're not that?
I think that because of television and radio, there's been a move that parents don't think they have to entertain their children anymore. I think it's a mistake. And I think every parent should tell his child or her child their background as much as they know of the background of their family. And I think that they should tell them that I think they ought to read them the fairy tales and the good literature. Because today's children don't get any of that. If they don't get it with the Ninja Turtles or something on TV, they miss it. And I think it's one of the reasons that we're having trouble in school today is that children don't read and don't know the stories that should have been read to them when they were babies.
What type of stories do you tell?
Any kind. It all depends on the audience. But the stories that I like to tell the most are true stories about my growing up and about my family and things that I have witnessed or seen. I tell first-person stories. Of course, some of them are not my stories, but it's better for me to tell them in the first person as though they happened to me. And people, after I get through telling them, come up and say, when did that happen to you? Things like that had happened to me, too. So I know it's not something that is confusing to people when I tell them first-person stories. I think it brings them in. And then, I don't know, I do a lot of history of the county. I do a lot of Indian stories because I just think things like that are important.
Is that what you try to do, maybe teach Do your stories kind of have a lesson? Maybe?
Some of them do, and some of them are strictly for entertainment. Most of them are strictly for entertainment. But now, when I do a history lesson of the history of the county, it's for knowledge. It's to teach somebody what happened here a long time ago.
Because otherwise we don't know.
Well, you can find some of this stuff, but I don't think it's ever been really documented. I think that really the histories of the county that we have are stuff that was done during the WPA time. They didn't do any research. It's word of mouth, and word of mouth changes over the centuries. The things that we witness don't look alike. It's like the old game we used to play, gossip. You'd say something in somebody's ear and they'd whisper it, and then at the end of the line they'd tell you what they said down there, and it's nothing like. I think that's what's happened to us about telling stories too. I just think that we can change their stories through the years. It's easy to do.
What makes it fun for you?
I don't know, a lot of things. I think it's important to keep people informed and entertained. And I have served on so many committees that had to be in charge of programs. And I know how hard it is to get a program sometimes. And I feel that when somebody asks me that they're searching for somebody to do a program, why not? Why shouldn't I do that? So I do. And I like it. I've made a lot of friends this way in storytelling.